Hi, I'm Jill from a small town in Virginia. My mom raised me alone. Our house was right next to a forest, and I always loved going for walks in it. Ever since I was a kid, I was crazy about plants.
This is reed canary grass. I've read about it in my encyclopedia.
One day, Mom left me at home alone. Soon, I saw a beautiful flower in the book I was reading.
I really want to see it.
I was walking through the forest when the sky opened up and rain poured down. By the time it stopped, I'd gotten lost. Why are you crying?
Who are you?
A forest monster, can't you see?
I'm lost, and I want to go home.
That's dumb. All the trees are different. It's impossible to get lost here. The forest monster took my hand and led me back home. When we reached the porch, I turned around, but there was no one behind me. When Mom came home, I told her everything. You have a wild imagination. Don't you ever run off into the woods alone again. Mom had to work several jobs to provide for us. As I got older, I tried to help her and started to work part-time too. However, all my free time was spent working on a botany project. I'm Miss Nelson, your new biology teacher.
Dang it. Now I'll have to repaint it.
Anyone who isn't ready to focus on biology, feel free to leave. Our previous teacher let us do whatever we wanted, but Mrs. Nilsson turned out to be his exact opposite. Oh, we're finally gonna learn something? She immediately gave us a pop quiz, and I got the perfect score. Great job, Jill. Mrs. Nilsson left right after class, but I caught up to her to tell her about my project. What an impressive project! You should present it at the state contest that's going to take place soon. The winner will receive funding. I could help you if you're interested. Are you serious? Of course I am! We just walked out of the school gates when a bike appeared from around the corner. Watch out! We barely jumped aside in time. Are you nuts? I hate you botany freaks. Before I could say anything to that, the nutcase left. What the heck was that all about? The next day, I came to school and heard a loud rumbling outside. It's that crazy biker! Cops are chasing him. Oh, I love bad guys. Tina, you're incorrigible. Soon, the whole school was talking about him, and then rumors spread all over the city. I heard that guy calls himself the Wolf. He's a gang leader. Someone saw him in the city center yesterday. He knocked over several trash cans and escaped from the cops again. Oh, I wish I could see his face. Unlike everyone else, I didn't care about the Wolf or his gang. However, everything changed when I saw him next to my house. Wait, you bastard! My poor Sima they were part of my project and he ruined it! What was the Wolf even doing at my house? It seemed weird to me. Was he stalking me? A couple of days after that, we bumped into each other near my school again. He was writing all sorts of nasty things on the school walls with his friends. Stop this right now. And what if I don't? Miss Nelson! Phew, it's just a toy. Get lost or I'll call the police. They can't keep up with us anyway. Everyone was wondering who was hiding under that helmet. I couldn't get rid of the feeling that the Wolf and I had met before. My suspicions were confirmed when we ran into each other in the school lab. What are you doing here? He deleted half of my files! Thank God I stored copies on iCloud. He'd gone too far. He needed to figure out what the Wolf wanted, but I didn't know where to start. One day, I finally got lucky. I was walking through the city when I noticed a familiar bike nearby. Gotcha. I hailed a passing taxi and I followed him. Soon, he stopped next to an abandoned building. It looks like this is their base. I need to get back at that nerd. Is he talking about me? I quickly took some photos of the bikers and left. Then I showed them to the police. Thank you for the tip. We'll take it from here. The next day, a rumor spread around the school that the Wolf's gang had been arrested. I was hoping someone would mention his real name, but I was in for a disappointment. Okay, at least he won't cause me any more problems. Soon after that, the holidays began, and Mrs. Nelson suggested something interesting. Do you want to work as a counselor at the local camp this summer? It's located in a forest full of rare plants. The camp director is interested in biology, too. He even has a small laboratory. That was a great opportunity for me to finish my project and earn some money to help Mom at the same time. What are you doing here? Actually, I'm one of the new camp counselors. Hey girls, I'm Ethan. Nice to meet you. That gloomy guy is Derek. He's apparently a counselor too. When we arrived, each of us was assigned a squad of campers. That same day, we took the children to a lake in the forest. I was watching over them and swimming when I felt someone looking at me. Derek is a bit weird. Why did he refuse to go swimming with us? Hey, don't you want to go for a swim? Not interested. Whatever. Ethan, could you hand me my towel? Tina was throwing herself at everyone as usual, but That didn't surprise me anymore. In the evening, I headed to the lab to talk to the camp director. As I got closer, I overheard him speaking to someone.
I don't want to be here. I'm not a babysitter. You should have thought of that earlier. Don't forget you got off easy. You're Jill, right? Mrs. Nelson told me about you. You can use my lab if you'd like.
Even while working on my project, I couldn't stop thinking about Derek. What punishment were they talking about? That evening, all the campers gathered around a large bonfire. We were having a great time until Derek suddenly spoke up.
Are you having fun? Do you think you're safe here? Don't you know about the monster living in the forest?
A monster?
It's just a story to scare kids. No, the monster is real. Every summer it comes to the camp and kidnaps several children. It promises to show them a treasure, and then they disappear forever.
I'm scared.
Don't be. Derek is just joking.
Well, it isn't very funny.
Even if the monster was real,
Ethan would protect us.
The next morning, I got up very early and went to the lab to work on my project. Someone had moved my stuff. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but after a couple of days, it happened again. Someone's gone through my things. That was just the beginning of it.
Jill, you didn't close the lab door for the night and all the plants froze.
I'm sure I locked the door before leaving. It felt like someone was trying to frame me. The whole situation reminded me of the wolf's antics, but he's not here. One day, the other counselors and I were looking through some old props from an orphanage. We needed them to organize a party for the children.
Oh, what the heck is this? I'm not wearing this stuff.
I'm in luck. Look at how cool this is!
This costume is perfect for Ethan. He looks like a real knight.
In the evening, everyone gathered at the center of the camp again.
Hey, could you help me out? Tina wants us to perform together. She won't leave me alone.
Let me guess. Do you want me to be your partner instead?
Bingo. I can't exactly ask Derek for help.
I agreed, and we entertained the children together. After our performance, everyone started to dance.
Shall we dance, partner?
When Ethan put his hands on my waist, I felt shy for some reason. I hoped he wouldn't notice I was as red as a tomato. Then, heavy rock music started to play.
Now this is music.
It was only at that moment that I noticed Tina glaring at me. It must have pissed her off that I danced with Ethan. The next morning, I went for a walk around the lake. I wanted to go for a swim, but someone beat me to it. I thought Derek didn't like swimming. He has a wolf tattoo! Was that just a coincidence, or? The next moment, Derek started walking towards me, and I hid in the bushes. What if he's that biker? He was probably sent here as punishment. That's why the camp director said he got off easy. I decided to watch him for a while. On my way back to the camp, I suddenly heard a child crying. What are you doing here?
A forest monster brought me and the other kids from our squad here. It promised us gifts, and we all agreed to follow it. But then, when we were in the forest, I got scared and ran away and got lost.
Don't cry, it's okay. You know, all the trees in the forest are different. It's impossible to get lost here. As I was trying to calm the girl down, I suddenly remembered something that happened to me when I was a kid. Back then, I'd also thought I'd seen a forest monster, but later, I convinced myself it was just my imagination. When we arrived at the camp, it turned out that several children from my squad were missing.
If we don't find them, I'm holding you responsible.
The director organized a search party, and we combed the forest looking for the kids. I felt responsible, and I really wanted to find them. But at some point, I stumbled and fell. Dang it! I think I sprained my ankle. I realized I was too far away from the camp. Then the wind picked up, and thunder rumbled above me. Oh no. Then I heard a noise nearby. Someone was making their way towards me through the underbrush. Oh, I'm scared. You know what would really help? If you like this video and subscribe to the Private Diary channel. The noise was getting closer. I squeezed my eyes shut, but then...
Open your eyes. I don't bite.
Ethan helped me up and showed me the way. Soon, we reached a hut. What is this place?
I used to come to this camp a lot when I was a kid, so I know all the interesting places around here. We should wait here until the rain stops.
When we walked into the hut, I saw the missing children. How did you all get here?
A forest monster led us. It promised to show us its treasure and it told us to wait.
A grown-up must have led them here.
They were probably wearing a disguise.
They could come back at any moment. What if it's some sort of criminal?
We don't have a choice. We have to wait until the rain stops. We're scared.
Don't be. Oh, by the way, have you seen the beautiful plants next to the hut? That's Virginia bird cherry. You want me to tell you about it?
You're good at this.
Soon, the kids calmed down. As soon as the rain stopped, we returned to the camp.
Oh, look at that! It's the forest monster!
At first, I didn't understand what he was talking about, but then I noticed the old costume Tina had recently found among the props. Do you think it was her?
Let's find out.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Don't you? You're the one who put on the stupid costume and led the kids into the forest to frame Jill.
Fine, it was me, but only because she stole you. I just wanted to teach her a lesson.
Wake up, we hardly know each other.
What were you thinking? What if something bad happened to the children? I was gonna come back for them tonight.
And what about all the other times someone set me up? Was that you?
No, I didn't do anything else. When the camp director found out what happened, he sent Tina home. One day, I was teaching the kids when Ethan came to take over.
Have I mentioned that you're really good with them?
I love children. I got it from my mom.
What about your dad?
I never met him. He left for Europe before I was born. What about you?
My dad died a few months ago.
I'm sorry. That's terrible. I realized Ethan and I had grown close. I liked spending time with him. By the time we were supposed to leave the camp, I'd finished my project. The funding is gonna be mine! While the kids were getting on the bus, I noticed Derek. He was looking at bike photos on his tablet. If Tina only framed me once, then everything else that happened must have been his fault. It's high time I talked to the wolf.
Jill, you left your notes back in the lab.
By the time I got back, Derek had already left on another bus.
Are you all right?
Yeah, it's just... Listen, could I have your number? To be honest, I'd like to keep talking to you. God, had I really said that? Ethan seemed to tense up, but then he relaxed and smiled.
Sure, why not?
When I got home, there was only one day left until the competition. Mrs. Nilsson and I met in town to talk. It turned out better than I expected.
Let's see. There are so many inaccuracies here. Where's the theoretical part?
I don't understand. It isn't supposed to be like this. I realized that Derek had ruined my project. He'd probably come by the lab before leaving. Even my cloud storage had been deleted. I spent the whole night trying to fix my project. This is useless. I don't have enough time. By the time the sun rose, I'd almost given up. But then I got an email. When I opened it, I couldn't believe my eyes. These are the original files of my project. I was confused, but I didn't have any time to hesitate. That evening, Mrs. Nilsson and I presented my project at the contest. It impressed the judges, and I got the funding.
Mrs. Nilsson, you have won the award as the best supervisor.
Can you believe it? Over the moon, I called Ethan. I guess he doesn't want to talk to me. A couple of days later, I came to school and suddenly saw the wolf. I've had enough. You're not getting away this time. Derek, I know it's you. What did I ever do to you? Hey, it's that biker. He's mine. You say that about all the boys. I grabbed the wolf's helmet and I pulled it off him. What? Ethan?
Let me explain. Please don't make a scene. Come to my office.
Do you two know each other?
The wolf, that is Ethan, is my son. You're not my mother. 6 months ago, she had an affair. When my father found out about it, he got into the car and drove away. But he was so heartbroken he lost control of it, got into an accident, and died. It's all because of you.
Was that why you became the wolf?
I didn't mean to hurt you, Jill, but if you won the contest, she would have been awarded too. That's why I was trying to ruin your project. I was sent to the camp after you turned my gang in. I used all my connections so the police would go easy on you. I didn't ask you to do that. I kept trying to get in your way at camp, and I ruined your project before leaving. But then I realized I couldn't do that. I really like you, so I sent you the original files.
What about Derek? I was sure he was the wolf.
He's the camp director's nephew. That moron was a fan of my gang and even got a wolf tattoo. When his parents found out about it, they decided to send him away from the city.
I felt like a fool. Why did I have to fall for the wolf out of all people?
Please, let's start over.
No, I don't want to see you again. After winning the contest, I started to work on new projects. Mom was very proud of me. One day, I went for a walk in the woods and suddenly heard a familiar voice.
All the trees in the forest are different, you know?
I didn't make that up. Was that you when we were kids?
Yeah, so you owe me one.
When Ethan came closer, my heart started to pound. That traitor. Well, what do you want?
Let's start with a kiss.
I gave Ethan a second chance, and we became an item. He stopped getting into trouble, but he still hasn't forgiven Mrs. Nilsson. They have a terrible relationship, and it makes Ethan miserable. How can I help him? Do you have any ideas?